All right, so I am here with our, would you call yourself a master organ builder?
Just the organ builder,
Okay.
technician.
All right, so I'm here with our organ builder who's been working with us over the last couple of months. So Kevin, if you want to introduce yourself, give us a little bit about your background.
Sure. My name is Kevin, and I'm the owner of Myer's Pipe Organ Service. And I've been working with organs for about, 10 or 12 years now. I worked with a guy named Carl Myers, hence the name of the business, and I apprenticed with him for about 10 years, and then he recently retired, and I recently acquired the business.
Awesome. Well, so do you play organ?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Very good.
I studied at Towson.
Oh, okay. All right. So is that you have a degree?
I do have a degree in organ.
Very cool.
Yes.
Well, so can you tell us a little bit about the organ here at Babcock?
Sure. It's a wonderful organ, built in 1965 and then enlarged again in 1972. The organ is, I think, 33 ranks, I believe.
Okay. And what is a rank?
A rank is a row of pipes. There's 33 rows of pipes up there. So 33 ranks is equivalent to, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 pipes, something like that up there. It's quite a bit of pipe work up there. And it's a really beautiful instrument. On this side of the organ here is the choir division, and you have some colorful stops such as an English horn, a crumb horn, you have a flute celeste over there, and a celeste is when you have two ranks of the same pipe, so you have, and one is tuned slightly sharp, and it gives this undulating effect, very sweet effect, a string effect.
So can you tell us what a stop is, what that means?
Sure. A stop is, if you look on the console here, these little knobs here, these are called stops. So when they're pushed in, they stop the air from coming through the organ. And you know the phrase, of course, pulling out all of the stops comes from this. So when all the stops are pulled out on the organ, it's very loud and it's very bombastic. It's a wonderful sound. So that's what a stop is.
Okay. And how many stops does this organ have roughly?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I have to count them here. I would say maybe 30-something stops.
Okay. Well, and I guess that would go along with the, be roughly equivalent to like the 30 ranks or 33.
Yes,
okay.
just about equivalent to
Okay.
that, give or take a few. And there's a couple extra ones, things in red, tremolos that make the air, wave up and down, things like that.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the console that you're sitting at here?
Sure. So the console here is a 3-manual console. A manual is just the name of the keyboard. So we've got 3 keyboards here. The main keyboard on which one would play would be the center keyboard. This is called the grate. The keyboard above it is called the swell, and you can tell this is a bit of a fancy model console because this top keyboard is ever so slightly angled down for the comfort of the organist. Very nice. And then the bottom keyboard here, this manual, is called the choir manual, and they operate different parts of the organ. So this bottom manual operates this side of the organ, this middle manual operates the middle of the organ, and the top manual operates the far side of the organ from the console, which is the swell. There are also things on here such as chimes. They sound like you're ringing bell. Well, they don't work anyway. They're not plugged in upstairs.
No.
So the chimes on there, they're about 21 notes. They hang in a really beautiful sound. They are Mayland chimes, and they're just a manufacturer, but they're very nice. They hang on the back wall.
You mentioned the manufacturer. So who built this organ originally?
This organ is by a company called Moller Company, and they were the largest manufacturer of organs in history. And they are from Hagerstown, right here in Maryland. So the organ didn't have to travel too terribly far to get here from the factory back in '65. But they're a very interesting company because they put out almost 12,000 individual pipe organs, and no other company in business before or since has ever even come close to that amount of instruments.
So bigger than Wurlitzer is what you're saying.
Bigger than Wurlitzer, bigger than Cassavant, bigger than a lot of these, bigger than Schantz, these bigger companies that are still around today. Because Moller's business ideal was that no church was too small to have a pipe organ in it. So you'll see, you know, these small churches with maybe, instead of 33 ranks, like in this church, you might see one with 3 ranks, 2 ranks, 4 ranks, 5 ranks. Just as long as they had a pipe organ, and then they would slap a number on it, and that's how they would count it towards theirs. This specific organ's number is 10019, 10,019. So it's a little bit later in the output of the factory. I'm trying to think here. In the 60s, the output of the instruments really slowed down. So they, between, I guess, 1965 and the factory closed in 1992, they put out about 1,500 or so instruments. But before that, during World War II, immediately following, they were putting out about an organ a day from the factory they were manufacturing. It was really, really a marvel.
So can you tell me a little bit about the pedals that are down here on the 3 pedals,
Sure.
but then also these, you know, these larger ones down here?
Yes. So the pedal board here, you can kind of think of it as a 4th keyboard for your feet. There are 32 pedal keys here. This middle C would be, if you look at it on the bass staff, it would be the 2nd space on the bass staff C, and low C would be the octave below that, of course. And they speak mostly at 8-foot pitch and 16-foot pitch. And what I mean by those number pitches is just the octave in which they speak. So for example, an 8-foot pitch would be, and then a 16-foot pitch would be a little bit lower. Here's the trumpet on a 16-foot pitch. Pretty low, pretty deep and bassy. It's a lot of fun to play things like that.
So when an organist is playing, the organist is got both their hands working and they're also playing with their feet at the same time?
Yes, they are. And sometimes it becomes difficult to have to maneuver all of these stops at once. It's a lot to think about. You're thinking about so much more than the music. You're thinking about what sounds to come out with, because all these stops are a different sound. It's like a big synthesizer. And you think of it as, you know, the painter has his palette of all these different colors, and he's got to figure out how to blend, you know, red and orange, you know, to make all these colors, things like that. So when you're thinking and you're playing and you really don't have a lot of time to read each individual stop and see what's going on, the console is equipped with something called a combination action, so that you can press these buttons underneath of the keyboard. These are called pistons, and they can recall a setting that you have previously set. So if you know, for example, hit piston number 1, you know, it does the whole organ, including these couplers here, which just help move the sounds from one keyboard to another. So this organ has 5 generals under the keyboard, and then a further 3 generals on toe studs that you can operate with your feet as well.
So those are these metal bullets down here?
Yes.
Okay.
Toe studs.
And what are the 3 pedals there in the center?
These are called expression pedals. So the one on the furthest right is the crescendo pedal, and what that does is that slowly turns all of the organ on and all of the organ off. So if you weren't, I guess, maybe an experienced player, or if you didn't have, you know, time to figure out which stops do what, you can press this crescendo pedal. It's kind of like the gas on your car. So the further on it is, these lights here indicate, you know, how loud it's going to be. So you see we have a P, MP, MF, and F. Piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte, and forte. So right now it would be at a piano, that would be a mezzo piano, just an indicator light to see how much of the organ would be on. And I won't demonstrate now because all the pipes aren't in yet, but you'll hear a lot of that on Sunday at the recital. The red button here is a fun one. It means SFZ, sforzando, or tutti. And what that does, that just turns everything on at once. It's a very, boom, red light, everything's on. You hear that big clacking noise. That just, it turns everything on, and it's a very loud sound.
All right, so as we sort of wrap up here with this interview, can you tell everyone who's watching just a little bit about some of the repairs that you did to the organ?
Absolutely, yes. So, when we last visited this organ prior to the repairs, it was for the cold weather tuning back in December, and the church had asked me to basically put together a list of things that the organ needs in order to function properly. And the main thing that this organ needed was the expression pedals of the swell and the choir. They're kind of like Venetian blinds when you operate them. They open and they close. When they're open, they're loud. When they're shut, you know, it's kind of like putting your hand over your mouth kind of thing. The motors that operate each individual Venetian blind, swell shade is what we call, have decayed over time. It's a fabric material that goes stiff rubberized cloth, and it disintegrates, and they become stiff from sometimes lack of use or just age in general. I mean, the oldest swell shades on that side are from 1965, and they haven't been touched since we restored them. And you lose that expression. If the you know the blinds can't open and close in there, then you can't get that mode of expression, that that emotional side to organ playing. So we recovered them. Each side had 32 motors that we had to recover. 32, right? 24 on each side, 48 total. That's what it was, I just think, here. And then what else we had to recover was the reservoirs or the bellows that operate the organ. They were decaying. They're covered with leather, and you have to use leather because it's a flexible material that lasts a decent amount of time. But this one had expired, so the organ is nice and tight. There's no leaks in the organ from air or things like that, and the organ can perform the way it was intended to, when it came out of the factory. And we just finished checking the swell shades today after assembling them, and they work amazingly. This is the most that the swell shades have worked in probably close to 30 or 40 years. So we'll be hearing new depth of range of expression that this congregation hasn't heard in a very, very long time. So it's very exciting.
Well, we're very excited to have you to play the organ, and we'll close out on just a quick preview. So, what will you be doing to demonstrate the range of the instrument for us?
Sure. The recital on Sunday, I'm going to start with a piece from the Baroque era by a guy named Dietrich Buxtehude, and it's his Prelude, Fugue, and Chaconne in C major. It's a great piece that demonstrates sort of the more Germanic stops on the side of this organ. It's a really fun piece to play, and you use the whole organ. There's this big pedal solo in the beginning. There's a fugue. It's really just a fun piece to get the congregation refamiliarized with the organ. And then after that, I'll do a chorale prelude by J.S. Bach from the Orgelbuchlein, O Mensch Bewein. And that is about a 5-minute chorale prelude, and that'll showcase some of the colorful reed stops in the choir. After that, we'll head over to France, where I will play 2 pieces by a guy named Jean Langlais. One is called Chantepé, and that is uses the strings of the organ up against the flute, a 4-foot flute that just soars over the strings. And then after the Chantepie is a piece called Chant Heroique, which is sort of a darker piece. It kind of, think of a heroic marching kind of feel to it. It's a really fun piece, very French, very French. And when it doesn't say, it sounds like me banging on the keys, but it's real stuff, I promise. And then we'll close out with a very famous piece. It's about a 15-minute piece called the Third Chorale in A minor by César Franck, and that will demonstrate the full range of the organ. It starts out loud, it goes quiet, it goes in between, and then it has a very, very triumphal, fantastic ending that you'll definitely know when it's over, when I finish.
Okay.
It's really a great piece.
All right, well, on behalf of everybody here at Babcock Presbyterian, thanks, Kevin, for your hard work and for giving us a couple of minutes of your day today. And we'll hope to see everybody on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.